Good afternoon to you. Today we will continue with the Constitution, the last part of state judiciary. With this, we will conclude the High Court and judiciary also. Then we will switch over to other miscellaneous items like Central Administrative Tribunal, subordinate courts, constitutional and statutory functionaries, etc. Now, in the last class, we have seen the powers of the High Court with regard to original jurisdiction and the writ jurisdiction. These two we have already seen, original jurisdiction and the writ jurisdiction of the High Courts. Today we will continue with the rest of the jurisdiction, or rather rest of the powers of the High Court. Next in line is appellate jurisdiction. The High Court is primarily the Court of Appeal, both in respect of criminal matters and civil matters. Court of Appeal in civil matters and criminal matters. It hears the appeals against the judgment of the subordinate courts. In fact, the appellate jurisdiction is wider than the original jurisdiction of the High Court. With regard to the criminal matters, remember, the appeals for the judgments of the Sessions Court and the Additional Sessions Court lie to the High Court. If the sentence is of imprisonment for more than 7 years, remember, more than 7 years. In addition, a death sentence given by a Sessions Court or Additional Sessions Court has to be confirmed by the High Court before execution, whether there is any appeal by the convicted person or not. It does not matter. It has to be confirmed by the High Court. Remember, very important point. In some cases, which are specified in the Code of Criminal Procedure 1973, the appeals for the judgments of the Assistant Sessions Judge, Metropolitan Magistrates and Judicial Magistrates also lie to the High Court. These two are for criminal matters. Now, as far as civil matters are concerned, the first appeal from the orders and judgments of the District Court, Additional District Court and other subordinate courts lie directly to the High Court on the question of law or question of fact. What is question of law and what is question of fact? I have already explained in a number of cases. Suppose let us say a minor, he was riding in a motorcycle, he crossed the zebra line. He says, I did not cross, I was within the limit. So this is question of fact. Why? If you observe the CCTV, you will come to know whether he actually physically crossed the line or not. Suppose if he says, under UP law, the person who is less than 18 is a minor, he is punishable. Here, the law is different. So there is a question of law which has to be decided by the court and which has to be argued by the lawyers. So this is the question of law and question of fact. So remember, the civil matters are concerned, the first appeal for the orders and the judgments of the District Court, Additional District Court and other subordinate courts lie directly to the High Court, both on the question of law and the question of fact, provided the amount exceeds the specified limit. Now, the other question, what we have already seen, the question of law and question of fact, both in the union judiciary as well as state judiciary. Now we are coming to, if a second appeal from the orders and judgment of the district court and other subordinate courts lies in the high court in cases involving only question of law. Remember, first appeal is in respect of both question of law and question of fact. Second appeal is only with reference to question of law. Remember, second appeal allowed only with regard to the cases involving question of law. Most important point. The Calcutta, Bombay and Madras High Courts have a provision for intra-court appeals. When a single judge of the High Court decided a case, an appeal lies to the division bench of the High Court. Remember, then the appeal from the decision of administrative and other tribunals lies to the division bench of the State High Court. You may recall, in 1997, Supreme Court held that the tribunals are subject to the writ jurisdiction of the High Court. As a result, it is not possible for a person to approach the Supreme Court directly against the decision of the tribunal, because tribunal, even though it was added under Article 323A and 323B, and the original intention was the appeal against the tribunal lies in the Supreme Court. That was the original intention under the 42nd Amendment Act 1976. However, in 1997, Supreme Court said the High Court is already there in the Constitution. You cannot bypass what is already provided in the Constitution. So, a judgment, the appeal against the judgment of the what is known as a tribunal, lies only in the High Court, not with the Supreme Court. So, the one tier added. In fact, the intention was to reduce one tier, but 97 decision restored one tier. So, that was the position. Now we are coming to supervisory jurisdiction. The High Court has control all over the courts and tribunals except military court and military tribunals. So the High Court can call for the returns, issue general rules, prescribe forms for regulating the practice, etc. It can settle the fees payable to sheriff, clerk, officers and legal practitioners. This power of control is very broad because it extends to all the courts and tribunals, whether they are subject to the appellate jurisdiction of the High Court or not. In addition, it covers both administrative and judicial superintendents. Most importantly, it has revisional jurisdiction also. Now, but these powers should be used very sparingly. Where there is an error of law, disregard to the law of the superior court, violation of principles of natural justice, where there is an excess jurisdiction, etc. Now, the High Court controls the subordinate courts also. How? The High Court can withdraw a case pending in a subordinate court if it involves substantial question of law which requires interpretation of the Constitution. It can dispose of the case straight away, or it can determine the question of law and return the case with its judgment to the subordinate court. Similarly, you should understand that the law pronounced by the High Court is binding on all subordinate courts. Now we are coming to court of record. Under Court of Record, the High Court has two powers. Number one is, all the proceedings and judgments of the High Court are kept in perpetual memory and testimonies. These records are admitted to be evidentiary value and they cannot be questioned when produced before any subordinate court. These are recognized as legal precedents and legal references. Very important. Court of Record, similar to Supreme Court. And the High Court has the powers also to punish for contempt of court, either with simple imprisonment or with fine or with both. The same Contempt of Court Act 1971 applies here also. The contempt of court and other related provisions we have already discussed when we took up the Supreme Court. As a court of record, the High Court has the powers to review and correct its own judgment or decision, even though no such review powers have been specifically given to the High Court in the Constitution, unlike Supreme Court, which has been given the powers of review specifically in the Constitution. Remember, it's a very important point. Review powers are specifically given to the Supreme Court in the Constitution, whereas specific delegation is not there for the High Court. Finally, the High Court has the powers of judicial review, as in the case of Supreme Court. What is judicial review? Article 13. What does Article 13 says? The state shall not make any law which takes away or abridges any of the rights conferred in Part 3 of the Constitution, fundamental rights. If any law is made taking away or abridging any of the rights conferred in Part 3 of the Constitution, that law, to the extent of repugnancy, is null and void. Remember, null and void. The term law includes all ordinance, act, regulation, instruction, rules, bylaw, custom, usage, etc. Similarly, the state includes union executive, union parliament, state legislatures, and local bodies and other authorities which has the force of law. So this includes everything. So this is under this provision, the constitutionality or otherwise of any legislative law made by the legislature or executive action can be questioned by the judiciary. This judicial review powers has been given to the High Court under Article 226 and to the Supreme Court under Article 32 for enforcing fundamental rights. So in addition to this, remember, the High Court is competent to review any executive act or any legislative act if there is an infringement of fundamental rights as given in Part 3, or if it is outside the competence of legislature or outside the competence of executive, or if any such action is repugnant to the constitutional provisions. So this is the judicial review under Article 13. You should read the Article 13 with reference to Article 226 with regard to the High Court and Article 32 with regard to the Supreme Court. Now, very interestingly, 42nd Amendment Act 1976, underline 42nd Amendment Act 1976, debarred, prohibited, stopped High Courts from considering the constitutional validity of any central law, that is, any law made by the Union Parliament. The constitutionality of such laws cannot be questioned by any high court because technically its jurisdiction is only within the state. So 42nd Amendment Act debarred high courts from considering the constitutional validity of any central law. However, 43rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1977 restored the original provision. Very important that you should remember. 43rd Constitutional Amendment Act 1977 restored the original provision and repealed the provision included under 42nd Amendment Act 1976. So with this, we are completing the state judiciary, and tomorrow we will take up Central Administrative Tribunal and State Administrative Tribunal. Thank you. Thank you.